I had been planning my 30th birthday for weeks, imagining a modest celebration with the family I had supported through their financial hardships. I never expected much, just appreciation for the years I spent putting their needs before mine. Instead, I stood frozen as my father pointed toward the door, telling me to get out of their house immediately. My mother avoided eye contact. My siblings watched silently. Just like that, on my birthday, I found myself outside, with nothing but a hastily packed bag and shattered trust. The journey from that sidewalk to homeowner would test everything I believed about family loyalty and self-worth. Before I tell you how I went from sleeping in my car to fighting my family for the house I bought myself, let me know where you are watching from. If my story resonates with you, consider subscribing to join our community of survivors. My name is Darren, and until my 30th birthday, I had been the primary breadwinner for my family for nearly 5 years. After graduating with my accounting degree, I moved back home temporarily to help my parents through what I thought was a short-term financial rough patch. That temporary arrangement stretched into years as I found myself contributing 70% of our household expenses. My father, a proud man with controlling tendencies, had lost his construction management position during company downsizing, but refused to accept work he considered beneath him. My mother, always passive in their relationship, picked up part-time retail work but deferred to him on all financial decisions. My younger brother Jackson, 26, and frequently between jobs, and my sister Amanda, 24, and still finishing college, contributed minimally, while enjoying the comfort my income provided. Despite these dynamics, I maintained hope that my family appreciated my sacrifice. I never expected lavish gifts or celebration for my 30th birthday, just simple acknowledgement of this milestone. Perhaps a homemade cake, a card signed by everyone, maybe even a family dinner at my favorite local restaurant. Nothing extravagant, just recognition. The morning of my birthday began like any other weekday. I woke up early, showered, and prepared for work. When I returned to my room to dress, I discovered my father hunched over my desk, rifling through my financial documents. Papers scattered across the surface, my laptop open to my banking portal. "What are you doing?" I asked, confusion quickly turning to anger. He looked up, not a hint of embarrassment on his face. "You have been hiding money from us. I saw your bank notification on your phone last night." My stomach dropped. The notification had been from my savings account, confirming I had reached my goal amount for a down payment on a property. For 3 years, I had been putting away 20% of my income, dreaming of eventually having my own place while still supporting my family. "That is my personal savings," I explained, trying to keep my voice calm. "I still pay all the bills I agreed to." "Personal," my father scoffed. "There is nothing personal when it comes to family. We are struggling, and you have been hoarding money." The argument escalated quickly. My mother appeared in the doorway, tears streaming down her face, expressing betrayal over my secret account. My siblings joined the chorus, Jackson, calling me selfish, while Amanda tearfully accused me of not caring about her education costs. "We need that money," my father finally declared. "The mortgage is behind again. Either you transfer your savings to the family account, or you can leave this house today." I stood in stunned silence. 5 years of support forgotten in an instant. "I cannot give you my entire savings," I finally managed, "but I can help with the mortgage this month like I always do." "All of it," my father demanded, hand outstretched. "Your bank cards too. From now on, we manage the money as a family." The ultimatum hung in the air. In that moment, I saw the future stretched before me, years of continued financial drainage without independence. "No," I said quietly. "I cannot do that." "Then get out," he replied coldly. "Take what you can carry and be gone before I return from my appointment this afternoon." In shock, I watched them leave my room. No birthday wishes, no recognition of all I had sacrificed. Just eviction. I packed essentials into a single duffel bag: family photographs, important documents, clothing for a week. Everything else, including furniture I had purchased, electronics I had saved for, books collected over years, remained behind. As I sat in my car, parked on a side street away from our home, birthday notifications chimed on my phone. Friends sending well wishes, oblivious to my situation. I called my best friend Thomas, my voice breaking as I explained what happened. "Come over," Thomas said without hesitation. "My couch is yours for as long as you need." That night, sprawled on Thomas's living room couch, I scrolled through family photos on my phone, searching for signs I had missed, warnings that my role had only ever been financial. Sleep evaded me, replaced by a carousel of memories now tainted by this betrayal. Morning brought no clarity. My calls to my parents went directly to voicemail. A single text from Amanda arrived. "The family is heartbroken by your selfishness. When you apologize and help with the bills like you should, maybe Dad will let you come back." I arrived at work, disheveled eyes red from sleeplessness. My supervisor, Lauren, a perceptive woman in her 40s, called me into her office. "Whatever is happening," she said gently, "you can take personal days. Your work quality matters, but so does your well-being." The simple kindness broke my composure. I briefly explained my situation, embarrassed to admit my age and homelessness. Lauren listened without judgment, offering resources for employee assistance and emphasizing I had value beyond my family role. After work, I checked my banking app, discovering multiple failed login attempts. My family had tried accessing my accounts. Immediately, I changed all passwords, added two-factor authentication, and felt a new emotion toward my family: fear. The people I trusted most had not only rejected me, but attempted to take what little security I maintained. The first week passed in a blur. I thanked Thomas for the temporary shelter, but knew I needed to establish independence quickly. I began living primarily from my car, using the gym for showers, working long hours to avoid confronting my new reality. The lowest point came during a thunderstorm. Parked behind a shopping center, I awoke to water dripping through my car window seal, soaking my makeshift bedding. Rain pounded the roof as I sat upright, water trickling down my neck, and faced a decision point. I could break under this pressure or rebuild from nothing. My job performance suffered visibly during those first weeks of displacement. Lauren called me into her office again, her expression a mixture of concern and professional obligation. "Darren, your last 3 client reports contained errors we cannot afford," she said directly. "I understand your personal situation, but I need to know if you can maintain professional standards." The warning was fair. I promised improvement and recommitted to my professional responsibilities, recognizing my career represented the only stability remaining in my life. With my first paycheck entirely my own, I secured a small studio apartment in a neglected building on the city outskirts. The unit featured peeling wallpaper, unreliable plumbing, and neighbors whose arguments penetrated the thin walls nightly. Still, it provided 4 walls and a locked door, luxuries I had come to appreciate. 3 weeks after moving into the apartment, I received a stack of forwarded mail from my parents' address. Among credit card offers and alumni newsletters sat an official-looking envelope from a law firm. I opened it with mild curiosity that transformed into shock as I read the contents. The letter, dated 2 months prior, came from my late grandfather's estate attorney. It detailed an inheritance of $30,000, left specifically to me, separate from any family distribution. According to the document, notification had been sent 6 months after my grandfather passed away, which was nearly 2 years ago. My hands trembled with a mixture of emotions. Grief for my grandfather resurfaced, alongside the disturbing realization that my family had intercepted and hidden this inheritance potentially for years. The attorney requested my contact information to process the distribution. I called the number, immediately reaching the attorney's assistant, who confirmed the inheritance remained undistributed due to lack of response to their communications. I updated my contact information and scheduled an appointment with the attorney for the following day. William Hargrove, my grandfather's attorney, met me in his downtown office, silver-haired and direct in his manner. "Your grandfather was quite specific about his bequests," he explained, reviewing documentation. "The $30,000 was meant for your education or first home purchase. He respected your work ethic." "My family never told me about this," I admitted. "I just received your letter yesterday, forwarded from their address." Mr. Hargrove frowned. "We sent multiple notifications. Someone signed for them." He showed me receipt confirmations with my father's signature clearly visible. "Is it possible," I asked hesitantly, "that my family accessed this money somehow?" The attorney assured me this was impossible without my signature on specific documents, but agreed to investigate whether any fraudulent attempts had occurred. He also expedited the inheritance distribution process, adding accumulated interest to the original amount. That evening, fueled by righteous anger, I called my father. He answered on the fourth ring, his tone immediately defensive. "Finally realized you cannot survive without family?" he asked. "I know about Grandpa's inheritance," I replied, cutting past pleasantries. "The money he left specifically for me 2 years ago." A telling pause preceded his response. "That money was absorbed into family expenses as it should be. Your grandfather would have wanted to support all of us during difficult times. That was not your decision to make," I countered, voice shaking. "You had no legal right to hide this from me, or attempt to access it. Everything in this family is shared," he insisted. "You have always been selfish, thinking you deserve special treatment." The conversation devolved from there, ending with his threat to contest any inheritance distribution and my promise to pursue legal consequences for their deception. Afterward, Mr. Hargrove confirmed my suspicions my father had attempted to claim the inheritance using documents with forged signatures, but the firm had flagged discrepancies and frozen the distribution. With legal assistance, I reclaimed my inheritance plus interest totaling nearly $33,000. My family reacted by sending increasingly hostile messages through extended relatives, claiming I had abandoned them to financial ruin while stealing family resources. Thanksgiving arrived during this tumultuous period. I declined invitations from coworkers, including Lauren, preferring solitude in my sparsely furnished apartment to explaining my family situation. I microwaved a turkey dinner and streamed holiday movies, trying to drown the silence with artificial cheer. Depression settled over me like winter frost. I lost weight, my clothes hanging loosely on my frame. Sleep came in restless bursts, interrupted by anxiety dreams about homelessness and rejection. At work, I maintained professional standards, but withdrew socially declining lunch invitations and after-hours gatherings. A chance encounter changed my trajectory shortly after Thanksgiving. Leaving a grocery store, I bumped into Lauren, who lived in a neighboring community. "Spending the holidays alone is not mandatory," she said, after our small talk revealed my isolation. "My family always welcomes extras at our table. Join us this weekend for dinner." Something in her invitation, absent of pity and full of genuine inclusion, broke through my self-imposed exile. I accepted, hesitantly, arriving at her suburban home with a bottle of wine and intense social anxiety. Lauren's family gathering provided my first exposure to healthy family dynamics in years. Her husband James greeted me warmly. Their teenage children engaged me in conversation about professional basketball, and her father Robert, a retired real estate investor, asked thoughtful questions about my career aspirations. "You have good financial instincts," Robert commented after dinner when conversation turned to my apartment situation. "Renting in this market is throwing money away. Have you considered buying?" I laughed reflexively. "Not possible on my salary with current home prices." "Not necessarily true," Robert countered, explaining how his early investments began with foreclosure properties requiring sweat equity. "With the right property and proper research, your inheritance could become a down payment on something worthwhile." That conversation initiated a mentoring relationship that transformed my perspective. Robert began sending me property listings, explaining neighborhoods with growth potential, teaching me to identify structural soundness beneath cosmetic disrepair. We toured several properties together, most disappointingly beyond salvage or in dangerous areas. Then we founded a neglected 1940s bungalow in a transitional neighborhood. The exterior featured peeling paint and overgrown landscaping, the interior water-stained ceilings and outdated fixtures. Yet the foundation remained solid, the roof relatively new, and the electrical recently updated to code. Listed well below market value due to its condition, the property fell within my budget constraints when combined with a modest mortgage. Robert helped me navigate the negotiation process, securing the property for several thousand below asking price. The mortgage approval process progressed smoothly with my excellent credit history and stable employment. I combined my inheritance with a small mortgage, resulting in monthly payments lower than my previous rent. Closing day arrived with minimal complications, the keys to my first home placed in my palm with unexpected ceremony by the real estate agent. "Congratulations, homeowner," she said, smiling as she handed me a folder of documents. "The property has excellent potential." Those first weeks of homeownership tested my resolve. I worked full-time while spending evenings and weekends, scraping wallpaper, patching drywall, painting endless surfaces. YouTube tutorials became my constant companions as I learned basic plumbing repairs, tile installation, and refinishing hardwood floors hidden beneath stained carpeting. Robert visited occasionally, providing guidance with major projects like kitchen cabinet restoration and bathroom modernization. Under his tutelage, I transformed each room, gradually investing sweat equity where financial resources fell short. 6 months of relentless work yielded remarkable results. The exterior boasted fresh paint in historically appropriate colors, landscaping transformed from overgrown hazard to welcoming garden. Inside, refinished original features complemented modern conveniences, creating a home both comfortable and appreciating in value. The neighborhood itself underwent parallel transformation, with several young professionals and small families purchasing nearby properties for renovation. We formed an informal community, sharing tools and expertise, creating the supportive network I had always imagined family should provide. My first Christmas as a homeowner featured a small gathering of neighbors and work friends. Lauren and her family attended, Robert proudly showing other guests before and after photos he had documented throughout my renovation process. 10 months after my birthday eviction, my phone displayed an unexpected notification, a call from my mother. I stepped onto my back porch, heart racing as I answered. "Darren." Her voice sounded smaller than I remembered, tentative. "I have been thinking about you." Our conversation remained superficial. Initially, her questions about my well-being feeling performative rather than genuine. Eventually, she mentioned the family's ongoing financial troubles, including possible foreclosure on their home. "Your father would never admit it," she said softly, "but we have struggled without your contribution." Conflicting emotions warred within me, compassion, battling self-preservation. "I cannot return to the previous arrangement," I finally said. "Of course not," she agreed quickly. "But perhaps we could begin rebuilding our relationship." Despite internal warnings, I agreed to coffee at a neutral location, careful not to disclose details about my improved circumstances. The coffee shop meeting with my mother initially seemed promising. She arrived on time, appearing genuinely remorseful, as she described missing me during family gatherings. Her eyes welled with tears when mentioning holidays without my presence. "Your father made a terrible mistake," she admitted, stirring her latte absently. "We all did. The stress of financial problems clouded our judgment, but that does not excuse how we treated you." I maintained emotional distance while acknowledging her apology. Years of psychological manipulation had taught me caution, even while part of me yearned to believe her sincerity. Conversation progressed to my current situation. I shared minimal details, mentioning only that I had secured stable housing and continued my accounting career successfully. Her questions gradually became more specific, probing about my living arrangements. "Are you still in that little apartment?" she asked, feigning casual interest. "I found something better suited to my needs," I replied vaguely. "That is wonderful. I would love to see where you live now," she suggested. "Perhaps the family could visit. Your father feels terrible in his own way. This could be a first step toward healing." Against my better judgment and Robert's subsequent advice, I agreed to a family dinner at my home. I established clear boundaries, specifying a 2-hour visit with no discussion of financial matters. Preparation for their visit triggered anxiety I believed long conquered. I cleaned obsessively rearranged furniture, stocked the refrigerator with their favorite beverages. Part of me still sought their approval, validation that my independence had been the right choice. They arrived as a unit, my father examining the exterior with critical eyes, mother exclaiming over the landscaping, siblings trailing behind with transparent curiosity. Their reaction to the interior renovations seemed positive, with compliments about my design choices and craftsmanship. "You did all this yourself?" my father asked, running his hand along a refinished banister. "Most of it," I acknowledged, with guidance from a mentor. My mother photographed each room extensively, claiming inspiration for their own home improvements. Jackson and Amanda explored independently, opening closets and cabinets without permission, examining bookshelves and countertops with unusual interest. Dinner began pleasantly enough. I had prepared a simple meal, and conversation remained superficial until my father cleared his throat during dessert. "The bank has set a foreclosure date," he announced without preamble. 30 days from now we lose the house." My mother reached for his hand. "We have looked at apartments, but the deposits required are impossible with our credit situation." The subtext became increasingly clear as they detailed their housing dilemma. Jackson mentioned his lease ending coincidentally the same month. Amanda discussed her student housing closing for renovations. "This place has plenty of room," my father finally suggested, gesturing around my dining room. "Family should stay together during difficult times. We could all live here while rebuilding our finances." The request confirmed my suspicions about their sudden reconciliation attempt. I declined politely, but firmly, offering instead to help research affordable housing options and potentially provide a small loan for security deposits. "After everything we did for you growing up," my father responded, mask of congeniality slipping. "This is how you repay family." The visit ended shortly thereafter, a strained politeness masking obvious disappointment at my refusal. They left with promises to continue the conversation later, my mother hugging me tightly at the door. 3 days later, a certified letter arrived. I opened it, standing in my kitchen, coffee growing cold, as I processed its contents with increasing disbelief. The document from a law firm I did not recognize outlined a legal claim against my home as a family asset. It detailed how my family's financial and emotional support throughout adulthood constituted an implied partnership in any assets I acquired. The letter specifically cited my time living in their home as an adult as justification for their partial ownership claim of my property. Attached was a loan repayment schedule for supposed family contributions to my upbringing and education, with interest calculated retroactively. The total coincidentally approximated my home's recently appraised value. Their lawyer requested transfer of the house title to a newly created family trust within 30 days to avoid court proceedings. My shock transformed rapidly into rage. The reconciliation attempt, the excessive photography, the detailed questions about my purchase process, all suddenly made perfect sense. Their visit had been reconnaissance, not reconciliation. I called my father, immediately abandoning diplomatic language, as I demanded an explanation. "Family assets belong to the family," he stated calmly, as though explaining a simple concept. "You never would have been able to buy that house without the foundation we provided. Now the family needs a place to live after the foreclosure. This is simply family taking care of family. You kicked me out on my birthday," I reminded him, voice shaking. "You hid my inheritance, tried accessing my accounts without permission, and now claim entitlement to the home I purchased and renovated myself." "We gave you life," he countered. "Everything you have comes from us." My mother called separately that evening, tearful and conflicted. "I told your father this approach was wrong," she claimed. "But family must stick together during difficult times. Surely you would not see us homeless." The situation escalated further when Jackson appeared unannounced at my door the following weekend, several empty moving boxes tucked under his arm. His presumption that the legal threat guaranteed compliance infuriated me. "Dad said we should start packing your personal items," he announced, attempting to step past me into the entryway. "We will need to repaint some rooms and rearrange furniture before moving in." Our confrontation ended with me physically blocking his entry and threatening to call police if he returned uninvited. His parting words haunted me. "You cannot fight the whole family. We will take what belongs to us." A barrage of text messages from my father followed, threatening extensive legal consequences if I failed to honor family obligations. My mother sent emotional appeals referencing childhood memories and familial duty. Amanda posted thinly veiled social media comments about selfish relatives who abandon family. The psychological warfare triggered anxiety attacks and insomnia. I felt violations of my boundaries compounding from birthday eviction to property invasion. In desperation, I called Lauren, the only person who had consistently supported my independence journey. "They cannot actually take your house," she assured me after hearing the full story. "But you need proper legal representation immediately. My cousin Sophia specializes in family law. Let me connect you." Sophia Rivera, Lauren's cousin, and an experienced family law attorney, reviewed my documentation during our first meeting with increasing indignation. "Let me be absolutely clear," she stated, after examining the claim letter. "Your family has no legal basis whatsoever for this action. Adult children do not owe parents repayment for basic care during childhood. The notion of implied partnership in your property purchase is legally nonsensical, especially considering the timing and circumstances of your departure from their home." Relief washed over me at her confident assessment, though anxiety lingered about the conflict ahead. "We need comprehensive documentation." Sophia continued outlining our strategy. "Bank records showing your sole financial responsibility for the property purchase and renovations. Employment history proving independent income. Evidence of their rejection through text messages, emails, or witness statements." Over the following week, I assembled extensive records, bank statements, from 5 years of family support and independent savings, mortgage documentation, showing sole ownership receipts for renovation materials and contractor services, text messages regarding my eviction, and witness statements from Thomas and Lauren about my housing crisis. Sophia prepared an aggressive response, combining a formal cease and desist letter with clear evidence refuting their claims. The document concluded with potential counterclaims for harassment and fraudulent legal action if they pursued their baseless case. "This should end the matter," she assured me, "but prepare for potential escalation before resolution." Her prediction proved accurate. My family responded not by engaging with our legal response, but by appearing unexpectedly at my workplace, creating a scene in the reception area. My father demanded to speak with me about family business, voice carrying through the office as colleagues watched uncomfortably. Security escorted them from the premises after my father refused to leave voluntarily. Lauren, witnessing the disruption, immediately approved temporary work from home arrangements to protect my professional reputation and mental well-being. "We support you," she assured me. "Their behavior only strengthens your position." The workplace incident, combined with increasingly threatening communications, justified filing for a temporary restraining order. The judge granted immediate protection based on evidence of harassment and my documented concerns about property damage or unauthorized entry attempts. My family responded with apparent shock at facing actual consequences. They hired an attorney who requested mediation rather than court proceedings, suggesting a misunderstanding between loving family members rather than harassment. Despite Sophia's advice to proceed directly to court, I agreed to mediation, hoping to resolve the situation without further escalation. This concession proved misguided when my family presented altered documents during the session, including manufactured records of financial contributions to my home purchase and fabricated agreements about shared ownership. "These documents are clearly falsified," the mediator noted after reviewing our evidence contradicting their claims. "I cannot recommend continued mediation when one party presents fraudulent information." The failed mediation necessitated court proceedings. Standing before the judge, I presented comprehensive evidence of financial independence, documented harassment, and clear property ownership. My father attempted emotional appeals about family obligation and parental sacrifice, while their attorney argued vague theories about implied family partnerships without legal precedent. The judge interrupted my father's testimony about parental rights. "Sir, your adult child has no legal obligation to provide housing for you regardless of your financial situation. The documentation presented clearly establishes independent property purchase without family contribution. Furthermore, submitting falsified documents to this court constitutes potential perjury." After brief deliberation, the judge dismissed their claim, entirely ordering them to pay court costs and my legal fees. The permanent restraining order prohibited contact through any medium for 1 year, with specific exclusion zones around my home and workplace. Should further harassment occur, the judge warned criminal charges may apply. My family sat stunned as the judgment was read. My father's face flushed with anger, and humiliation avoided eye contact as they exited the courtroom. My mother attempted approaching me in the hallway, but was intercepted by Sophia, who reminded her of the restraining order's immediate effect. The aftermath required additional security measures at my home. I installed surveillance cameras, reinforced locks, and established a neighborhood watch arrangement with adjacent homeowners. The property that represented my independence now required protection from the very people who should have celebrated my success. Therapy became essential to processing the compound trauma of rejection, manipulation, and legal persecution. Weekly sessions helped me recognize patterns of toxic family dynamics and establish healthier boundaries in all relationships. Through therapy referral, I joined a support group for adults with destructive family relationships. Meeting others with similar experiences diminished my isolation and self-blame. Stories shared during group sessions often paralleled my own, creating a community built on mutual understanding rather than obligation. As the restraining order approached 6 months, I completed the final renovation projects on my home, transforming the property from neglected bungalow to desirable residence. Property values throughout the neighborhood increased steadily, with several homes selling significantly above asking price. My investment, both financial and personal, yielded tangible returns beyond emotional satisfaction. Professional success paralleled my personal recovery. Lauren recommended me for promotion to senior accountant, a position that brought increased responsibility and compensation. My expanded financial stability allowed both property improvements and community involvement through local business development initiatives. Personal relationships flourished in this period of stability. I began dating someone who respected boundaries and understood the importance of chosen family. Their support during occasional difficult days demonstrated true partnership without exploitation or obligation. Approximately 9 months after the court ruling, my father violated the restraining order, appearing on my front porch, unannounced one Saturday morning. Rather than reacting with fear or anger, I simply activated the security system's silent alarm and spoke calmly through the locked door. "You need to leave immediately," I stated without emotion. "The restraining order remains in effect, and police have been automatically notified. You cannot hide behind legal papers forever," he responded, voice lacking its former intimidation power. Family connections transcend courtrooms. "Blood relation does not automatically create family," I replied. "Respect, support, and mutual care define family. You demonstrated none of these qualities." Something in my calm demeanor and clear boundaries seemed to penetrate his self-righteousness. For perhaps the first time, he saw me as a separate individual rather than an extension of himself or resource to exploit. Without further argument, he returned to his vehicle and departed before authorities arrived. This final confrontation, devoid of emotional reaction on my part, marked a significant personal victory. His manipulation tactics no longer affected me. His threats generated no fear. I had reclaimed not just physical space, but psychological independence. The last communication arrived shortly before the restraining order expired, a letter from my mother delivered through proper legal channels. She acknowledged their wrongdoing without qualification, expressing regret for actions that destroyed our relationship. Unlike previous communications, she requested nothing, offered no excuses, and accepted the consequences of their choices. I considered responding, but ultimately recognized the completion of my recovery did not require their participation or approval. The letter remained acknowledged, but unanswered. A chapter closed, without obligation for continuation. On the 1-year anniversary of homeownership, I hosted a celebration with my chosen family, the network of supportive friends, neighbors, mentors, and colleagues who demonstrated genuine connection. Robert and Lauren, instrumental in my journey, received special recognition for their guidance without expectation. My home, once a symbol of independence, evolved into a gathering place for authentic community. The transformation paralleled my personal journey from financial support for toxic relationships to architect of genuine connections based on mutual respect. The process of reclaiming my life expanded beyond personal recovery to advocacy for others facing similar situations. I began volunteer work with a local organization, helping young adults establish financial independence from controlling family systems. My experience provided both cautionary lessons and practical strategies for creating separation while building support networks. The fundamental lesson crystallized through my journey: family should be defined by actions rather than blood, by support rather than obligation. The people who stand beside you during crisis, who celebrate your success without claiming ownership, who respect boundaries while offering genuine connection, those are family in the truest sense. My future built on self-respect and clear boundaries continues, bringing unexpected joys and authentic relationships. Creating safe space, both physically and emotionally, allowed me to welcome connections that enhance rather than deplete my life. What about you? Have you ever had to make difficult choices between toxic family relationships and your own well-being? Share your experience in the comments below. If my story resonated with you, consider subscribing to hear more journeys of overcoming family trauma and building better boundaries. Your support through likes and shares helps these important conversations reach others who might be struggling with similar situations. Remember, sometimes the most powerful step toward healing is recognizing you deserve better than what you have been conditioned to accept. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I wish you strength in building the life and relationships you truly deserve.